Please, whoever you are, he's going to kill me. Lena's bloody fingers hit send before her vision blurred completely. Through her one good eye, she watched the message disappear into the void. Sarah would come. Sarah had to come. But the name at the top of the screen wasn't Sarah Thompson. It was V. Thorne, a contact she didn't even remember saving. 11:47 p.m. Victor Vale stared at the message on his phone, then at the second one that followed, 247 Kensington Avenue, apartment 4B. I'm sorry, wrong number. But I'm dying anyway. The most feared man in Philadelphia stood up. Wrong number or not, someone had just made the most dangerous call of their life. Before this story takes you somewhere you never expected, do me a favor. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You're going to want to see how this ends, and drop a comment with your city so I can see how far Lena's desperate mistake has traveled across the world. Trust me, you've never heard a story like this one. Now let me tell you what happened next. Boss, you're going to be late for Castellano. Roman's voice cut through the silence of Victor's penthouse office. Victor didn't look up from his phone. The message glowed in the darkness. I'm dying anyway. 3 words that shouldn't have mattered. 3 words from a stranger who texted the wrong person. Victor Vale had built his empire by ignoring pleas for help, by being the man who didn't flinch when others begged. Mercy was weakness. Compassion got you killed. But something about those words. Cancel Castellano, Victor said. The room went silent. Roman stood frozen in the doorway, and behind him Cade's head snapped up from his laptop. Sir, Roman's voice was careful. The Castellano meeting that's 6 months in the making. If we cancel, I said cancel it. Victor was already grabbing his coat, checking his gun. Get the car, now. Where are we going? Cade asked. Victor looked at the address again. Kensington. Not even his territory. A neighborhood where he had no business, no interest, no reason to be. To make a mistake, he said quietly. Roman and Cade exchanged a glance, but they knew better than to argue when Victor's voice took on that tone, cold, final, dangerous. 3 minutes later, they were in the Mercedes cutting through Philadelphia's midnight streets. Who is she? Cade finally asked from the passenger seat. I don't know. Then why? Because she asked. Victor's jaw tightened, and because no one came for me. The words hung in the air. Roman's hands tightened on the steering wheel. They all knew what Victor meant. 17 years ago, when everything had gone to hell, when Victor had been the one bleeding and desperate, no one had answered his calls. He'd survived anyway. But he'd never forgotten that silence. How bad do you think it is? Cade asked quietly. Victor looked at his phone again. No new messages. That was either a good sign or a very bad one. Bad enough that she texted a stranger. Oh yeah. Lena heard Ethan's footsteps in the living room and pressed herself harder against the bathroom tile. Every breath was agony. Something was broken inside, she could feel it. 3 ribs, maybe 4. He'd been so careful this time, hitting her where it wouldn't show. Lena, baby. His voice was honey sweet, the voice he used with his police buddies, with his family, with everyone who thought Detective Ethan Morrison was God's gift to Philadelphia law enforcement. Come on out. Let's talk about this like adults. She bit her lip to keep from whimpering. The bathroom lock was a joke, a button lock that a child could break through. The only reason he hadn't kicked it down yet was because he was still pretending to be the good guy, still performing. Her phone buzzed. Address, not Sarah. Lena's heart sank. She texted the wrong number, which meant no one was coming, which meant please, she typed back, because what else could she do? I don't have anyone else. He's going to kill me. The reply came fast. Address, now. Something in those 2 words made her fingers move. 2247 Kensington Avenue, apartment 4. B back entrance. He's watching the front. Then how long? What kind of question was that? I don't know. Minutes. He's right outside the door. Hold on. 2 words. Hold on. Like it was that simple. Lena, Ethan's voice changed, losing the sweetness. I'm getting tired of this game. You know how I get when I'm tired. Yes, she knew. She had the scars to prove it. I'm counting to 10, he said, and then I'm coming in there whether you like it or not. 1, 2. Lena looked at her phone. The stranger hadn't texted back. Of course not. Why would they? She was nobody, a wrong number, a mistake. 3, 4. She tried to stand, but her ribs screamed in protest. The room spun. She was going to pass out. And when she woke up, if she woke up, Ethan would be there with that smile that made her skin crawl, telling her how sorry he was, how she'd made him do it, how much he loved her. 5, 6. Her phone lit up one more time. Still there. Barely, she typed. Good. Stay alive. I'm close. 7, 8. Ethan, her voice cracked. Please, I need a hospital. What you need, he set his voice right against the door now, is to stop being dramatic. Open the door, Lena. Let me help you. Help. That's what he'd called it the first time too. The second, the third. By the fourth, she'd stopped counting the times he'd helped her. 9. The phone went dark. The stranger wasn't coming. No one was coming. It was just her and Ethan and this locked door that wouldn't hold much longer. 10. The door exploded inward. Victor took the stairs 3 at a time, Roman and Cade behind him. 4th floor. The building reeked of mold and desperation, the kind of place where people learned not to hear screams. Apartment 4. He could hear voices inside. A man, his tone syrupy and false, and underneath it, barely audible, a woman's broken breathing. Lena, don't make this harder than it has to be. Roman already had the lockpick out. 20 seconds. The door clicked open. They moved in silence through the cramped apartment. Family photos on the walls, smiling couples, birthday parties, the illusion of happiness. Victor had seen enough crime scenes to know that the worst horrors happened in homes that looked normal. Down the hallway, the man was standing in front of the bathroom, his shoulder pulled back, ready to ram the broken door. I'd rethink that, Victor said. The man spun. Mid-30s, athletic build, cold eyes that tried to mask themselves with concern. He was reaching for his hip before his brain caught up with his training. Weapons not there, Victor said calmly. You're off duty, and even if you weren't, you'd be dead before you touched it. Recognition flickered across the man's face as he looked at Victor, then at Roman and Cade flanking the narrow hallway. Who the hell? Someone who got a very interesting text message. Victor took a step forward. From a woman who thinks she's dying in your apartment. Any idea who that might be, Detective Morrison? The name landed like a bomb. Ethan's expression cycled through shock, anger, calculation, and finally settled on righteous indignation, the mask every dirty cop learned to wear. This is a domestic situation, Ethan said, his voice taking on that professional tone. A private matter, you're trespassing. And you're about to break down a door to get to a terrified woman, Victor interrupted. So let's not talk about legality. Terrified? Ethan laughed, but it was hollow. Is that what she told you? Let me guess, she said I hit her. She says that a lot. It's part of her condition. She's mentally unstable, self-harms. I have medical documentation. Victor's voice could have frozen fire. Or do you have a family full of cops and politicians who help you write reports that say whatever you need them to say? Ethan's face went pale, then red. You don't know what you're talking about. Lena is sick. She needs help. Professional help. I'm trying to get her committed for her own safety. Committed. Victor let the word hang in the air. That's convenient. Can't testify if she's in a psychiatric ward, can she? Testify? Ethan's laugh was sharp, desperate. About what? Some imaginary abuse. There's no evidence. No police reports. Nothing. Because nothing happened except in her delusional. The bathroom door opened. Everyone froze. Lena stood in the doorway barely. She had to hold on to the frame to stay upright. One eye was swollen shut, purple and black. Her lip was split. She held her ribs like she was trying to keep herself from falling apart. But it was her face that made Victor's blood run cold. Not the injuries he'd seen worse. It was the expression, the resignation, the look of someone who'd already given up. Lena. Ethan's voice shifted instantly to concern to love. Baby, look at you. Let me help. Don't touch me. Her voice was barely a whisper, but it stopped him cold. Sweetheart, you're confused. These men, do you even know who they are? What they want? I know I texted someone for help, she said. And I know you're the reason I needed to. That's the delusion talking, Ethan said, but his eyes were hard. Lena, think about what you're doing. Think about who you're trusting. Victor Vale, he practically spat the name. He's a criminal, a killer. You think he cares about you. Lena's good eye found Victor's. I think he came when I called, which is more than I can say for you. The silence stretched tight. I came every time Ethan said, and now the mask was cracking, showing the rage underneath. Every time you fell, every time you accidentally walked into something, I cleaned up your messes. I protected you. And this is how you repay me. I never fell, though. Lena said, her voice stronger now. You pushed me. Every time. And then you made me say I fell. You made me lie to doctors, to my friends, to my family. You said if I told the truth, no one would believe me anyway. They won't, Ethan said flatly, because it's not true. My medical records are full of reports I wrote, Ethan interrupted, describing your self-destructive behavior, your history of depression, your suicide attempts. I never tried to kill myself, Lena's voice cracked. You told the hospital that you showed them fake texts, fake evidence. Evidence that will hold up in court, Ethan said coldly, if it ever comes to that, which it won't, because you're going to get the help you need, Lena, whether you want it or not. Victor had heard enough. Get out. Ethan turned to him and, for the first time, real fear showed in his eyes. This isn't your business. She made it my business when she texted me. Victor's voice was ice. Now I'm making it your problem. Leave. It's my apartment. Actually, Lena said quietly, the lease is in my name. You just stayed. Ethan's face twisted with fury. You ungrateful. Roman moved between him and Lane so fast it was almost invisible. Cade's jacket shifted, revealing the gun at his hip. You were leaving, Victor said. It wasn't a question. For a long moment, Ethan didn't move. Then his cop training won out over his anger. He knew when he was outmatched, but he couldn't resist one last threat. You have no idea what you're doing, he said to Lena. No idea who you're trusting. Victor Vale isn't a hero. He's a monster. And when he's done with you, when you're no longer useful, he'll throw you away like garbage, just like your father did. Lena flinched like he'd hit her. How do you even know about my father? Her voice was small, broken. I'm a detective, baby. Ethan smiled, cruel and triumphant. I know everything about you, including what happened that night. The night he left. The night you... Enough. Victor's voice cut through like a blade. You have 5 seconds to walk out that door. 5, 4. Ethan's smile disappeared. This isn't over. You think you can just take her? Hide her, I'll file a missing persons report. I'll tell them she's suicidal, dangerous. They'll be looking for her everywhere. 3, 2. I'll find her, Ethan hissed. I always find her. And when I do, 1. Roman's hand moved to his weapon. Cade stepped forward, his presence a wall of threat. Ethan looked at Victor one more time, and whatever he saw in Victor's eyes made him go pale. You just made an enemy of the entire Morrison family, he said. My father, my brother, every cop in this city. You're going to regret. I don't make enemies, Victor said quietly. I make examples. Ask around. See what happened to the last person who threatened me. Ethan's jaw worked. Then he turned and strode down the hallway, each step vibrating with barely controlled rage. At the door, he paused. 1 week, he said, without turning around. That's how long you have before everyone in Philadelphia knows you're hiding a mentally unstable woman who belongs in psychiatric care. Before your business partners start wondering if Victor Vale has gone soft. Before what? Victor asked. Before you realize that I already know about the 3 other women you put in the hospital. Before I leak those medical records to the press. Before your brother, the senator, has to explain why his family has been covering up your abuse for 5 years. Ethan went rigid. That's right, Victor continued. I know about Michelle, about Sarah, about the woman who fell down the stairs and broke her spine. The one your father paid off to keep quiet. I know everything, detective. And if you come near Lana again, everyone else will too. The silence was absolute. Then Ethan was gone, the door slamming behind him with enough force to rattle the walls. Lena swayed and Victor moved without thinking, catching her before she fell. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't know it was you. I was trying to text Sarah and... It doesn't matter, Victor said, surprised by how much he meant it. But I've ruined everything, your meeting, your business. And now Ethan, he's going to come after you. His family, they're powerful. They'll do exactly nothing, Victor said firmly, because they're smart enough to know what happens when you go to war with someone who has nothing to lose. She looked up at him with her one good eye and he saw the question there. What do you have to lose? Everything, he thought, but he didn't say it. Can you walk? He asked instead. She tried, made it 2 steps before her knees buckled. Victor caught her again, then lifted her easily. She weighed nothing too light, like she hadn't been eating, or hadn't been allowed to. Where are we going? She asked, her voice fading. Somewhere safe. There's nowhere safe, she murmured. Not from him. He always finds me. Always. Not this time, Victor said. Her eyes were closing. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. I'm nobody. Victor looked down at her, this woman who'd accidentally texted a monster for help and somehow still had the courage to stand up to her abuser. This woman who'd looked defeat in the face and chosen to fight anyway. You texted me, he said simply. That makes you my responsibility. That's not how responsibility works, she whispered. It is now. She tried to say something else, but consciousness was slipping away. Her head fell against his chest, her breathing shallow. Hospital, Roman asked from the doorway. Victor thought about it. Ethan would go there, would use his badge, his connections, would have her committed before morning. No, take us to the penthouse. Call Dr. Chen. Tell her it's urgent. Cade's eyebrows shot up. Boss, we never bring... I know what we never do, Victor said sharply. Do it anyway. As they carried Lena down the stairs and into the cold November night, Victor's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You made your choice. Now live with it. Victor deleted it without responding. Another buzz, this one from his accountant Castellano, is threatening to pull out of the deal. Says you insulted him by canceling. Let him pull out. Let them all pull out. For the first time in 15 years, Victor Vale had made a decision that had nothing to do with money or power or strategy. He'd made it because 17 years ago, he'd been the one bleeding in an apartment, sending desperate messages that no one answered. He'd promised himself then, if he ever got the chance, he'd be different. He'd be the person who came, even if it cost him everything, even if it was for a stranger, even if her name was Lena, and she'd meant to text someone else entirely. The Mercedes pulled up. Roman held the door. Victor slid into the back seat with Lena still unconscious in his arms. Where to, boss? Roman asked. Victor looked down at the woman who'd accidentally changed everything with 3 words. He's going to kill me. Home, he said. And Roman, call Marcus. I want everything on Ethan Morrison. Everything. His cases, his history, his dirty secrets. If he jaywalked in 3rd grade, I want to know about it. How deep? Roman asked. Deep enough to bury him. As they drove through Philadelphia's midnight streets, Victor felt something shift in him, something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose, not the cold, calculated purpose of building an empire. Something warmer, more dangerous. The purpose of protecting something that mattered, even if he didn't fully understand why it mattered yet, even if it meant war. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. Dr. Eleanor Chen arrived at 1:47 a.m., her medical bag heavy and her expression heavier. She brushed past Roman, without a word, her heels clicking against Victor's marble floor like a countdown. This better not be what I think it is, she said, not bothering with pleasantries. Because if you're asking me to patch up one of your... She's not one of mine, Victor interrupted. He led her to the guest room where Lena lay unconscious on sheets that probably cost more than her monthly rent. She's a victim. Dr. Chen's expression shifted as she looked at Lena's face. The clinical detachment fell away, replaced by something that looked like rage. Morrison! Victor's eyebrows rose. You know him? Every ER doctor in Philadelphia knows him. Dr. Chen set down her bag and began her examination with practiced efficiency. 3 women in 5 years. Same injuries, same excuses, same protected bastard walking away clean every time. Her hands moved gently over Lena's ribs, and Lena moaned in her sleep. How did you get her away from him? She texted me by mistake. Dr. Chen looked up sharply. By mistake, she was trying to reach a friend, hit the wrong contact. And you came anyway. It wasn't a question. Dr. Chen returned to her examination, her jaw tight. 3 broken ribs, severe concussion, bruising consistent with manual strangulation. See these marks on her neck, defensive wounds on her forearms. This wasn't a fight, Victor. This was attempted murder. The words hung in the air like smoke. How long has this been going on? Victor asked. Based on the partially healed fractures I'm feeling, at least a year, probably longer. Dr. Chen pulled out her stethoscope. Her left wrist was broken at some point, maybe 6 months ago. It healed wrong, and these scars on her back. She carefully lifted Lena's shirt, revealing a pattern of old marks. Cigarette burns, belt marks. This is systematic abuse, Victor, the kind that doesn't happen overnight. Victor felt something cold settle in his chest. He'd seen violence before, caused plenty of it himself. But this was different. This was calculated cruelty designed to break someone slowly. Can you fix her? He asked. Physically, yes. Psychologically? Dr. Chen shook her head. That's going to take more than medicine. And Victor, when she wakes up, she's going to be terrified. Of you, of this place, of everything. Trauma doesn't care that you're the one who saved her. I know. Dr. Chen gave him a long look. Why are you doing this? And don't tell me it's because she texted you. I've known you for 8 years. You don't do charity. Victor thought about lying, about saying it was strategic, that Lena had information he needed, that Morrison was a threat to his business. Instead, he told the truth. Because I know what it's like when no one comes. Understanding flickered in Dr. Chen's eyes. She knew about Victor's past, not the details, but enough. How long are you planning to protect her? As long as it takes. Well, Morrison's not going to let this go. His family can get in line with everyone else who wants me dead, Victor said flatly. Dr. Chen finished her examination and packed up her supplies. Keep her hydrated, these pain medications every 6 hours. If her breathing changes, if she spikes a fever, call me immediately. And Victor, she paused at the door. Be careful. Women like her, they've been trained to go back, to believe they deserve it. When she wakes up, she's going to want to leave, to apologize to him, to convince herself it wasn't that bad. Not this time, Victor said. That's what they all say. Dr. Chen left, and Victor was alone with the unconscious woman who'd accidentally become his responsibility. He should sleep, should handle the Castellano situation, should deal with the 1,000 fires that were probably burning in his absence. Instead, he sat in the chair by the window and watched Lena breathe. His phone buzzed. A text from Marcus got preliminary info on Morrison. You're not going to like it. Send it, Victor replied. The file came through. Victor opened it and started reading. Detective Ethan Morrison, age 34, 7 years with Philadelphia PD, decorated officer. 3 commendations for bravery. Son of former police commissioner James Morrison. Brother to state senator David Morrison. Clean record. Too clean. Victor scrolled deeper. 3 ex-girlfriends, all with hospital records. Michelle Carver, fractured skull, claims she fell downstairs. Sarah Brennan, broken collarbone, and ribs, said she was in a car accident. Natalie Torres, ruptured spleen, insisted she walked into a door. All 3 had withdrawn their statements. All 3 had disappeared from Philadelphia within months of their hospitalizations. All 3 had received substantial cash settlements from the Morrison Family Trust. Victor's hands tightened on his phone. This wasn't just abuse. This was a pattern, a system. The Morrisons paid off victims, used their connections to bury reports, and Ethan moved on to the next woman. Until Lena. What made her different? Why hadn't they paid her off? Victor kept reading. Lena Thorne, age 28, waitress at Rosie's Diner. No family father, deceased mother, whereabouts unknown. No close friends except Sarah Thompson, a coworker who'd moved to Boston 6 months ago. She was perfect prey. No one to miss her, no one to ask questions, except she'd texted the wrong number. You picked the wrong victim, Victor said quietly to the absent Ethan, and the wrong enemy. His phone rang. Cade. Boss, we have a problem. Of course they did. Talk. Ethan Morrison just filed a missing persons report. Says his girlfriend Lena Thorne is mentally unstable and potentially suicidal. He's got every cop in the city looking for her. Victor's jaw clenched. How long ago? 20 minutes. It's already on the wire. Her description, her photo, boss. If anyone sees her with us? They won't, Victor interrupted. She's not leaving the penthouse. For how long? Morrison's telling everyone she's a danger to herself, that she needs psychiatric intervention. If we're caught harboring her, then we don't get caught. Victor ended the call and made another one. Vale, the voice on the other end was rough with sleep. Do you know what time it is? I need a favor, Judge Brennan. A long pause. What kind of favor? The kind that keeps a woman alive. Another pause, longer this time. I'm listening, Victor explained quickly. The texts, the rescue, Morrison's missing persons report. Jesus Christ, Victor. Judge Brennan sighed. You're asking me to go against a police report filed by a decorated detective from one of the most powerful families in Philadelphia. I'm asking you to do the right thing. The right thing could cost me my career. And turning your back could cost a woman her life, Victor said. You owe me, Michael, Atlantic City, 2019. Remember, the silence stretched. Victor had saved Judge Brennan's son from a gambling debt that would have ended with a bullet. The judge knew it. Victor knew it. What do you need? Brennan finally asked. Protection order. Emergency psychiatric hold in my favor, not Morrison's. Documentation that Lena Thorne is under medical supervision and not missing. That's forgery. False documentation. It's the truth, Victor interrupted. She is under medical supervision. Dr. Chen examined her tonight. And she's not missing. She's safe. The only lie is Morrison's claim that she's a danger to herself. You're splitting hairs, Victor. I'm saving a life. Will you help or not? The judge exhaled slowly. I'll have the papers ready by morning. But Victor, this is the last time. We're even after this. Agreed. Victor hung up and checked the time. 2:33 a.m. In 7 hours, Morrison would have legal documentation proving Lena was exactly where she wanted to be, if she didn't wake up and try to leave first. Movement from the bed. Lena's eyes fluttered open, her one good eye at least. She stared at the ceiling, confused, then tried to sit up. Don't, Victor said, moving to her side. You've got broken ribs. Dr. Chen said. Lena's eye found him, and she scrambled backwards so fast she fell off the edge of the bed. Victor caught her before she hit the floor, but she fought him panic, giving her strength she shouldn't have had. No, don't please, I'm sorry. I'll go back, just don't. Lena. Victor set her down gently, then stepped back with his hands raised. You're safe. No one's going to hurt you. She pressed herself against the wall, breathing hard. Where am I? What did you, oh God, Ethan was right. You're going to, I'm not going to do anything except keep you alive, Victor said firmly. You're in my penthouse. Dr. Chen examined you. You have 3 broken ribs, a concussion, and about a dozen other injuries. You need rest. I need to leave. She tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't hold her. I need to, he's going to be so angry. If I apologize, if I explain what that you asked for help. I shouldn't have. Tears streamed down her face. I was confused, the pain I wasn't thinking. But I'm okay now. I just need to go home and... He filed a missing persons report, Victor said quietly. Told the police you're suicidal. Dangerous. He's looking for you right now. Lena went pale. No, he wouldn't. That's not... It's exactly what he'd do. And when he finds you, what do you think happens next? She was silent. You know what happens, Victor continued. Because it's happened before. He hurts you. You try to leave. He finds you. And next time, there won't be a next time. Her voice cracked. I'll be better. I'll do what he says. I won't make him angry. Lena. Victor's voice was gentle. It's not your fault. You don't understand. She was crying now, really crying. You don't know him, what he's capable of. His family, they're powerful. They'll destroy you. They'll try, Victor said. But I've been dealing with powerful families my entire life. The Morrisons don't scare me. They should. She looked at him with desperate eyes. Please, just let me go. Forget this happened. I'll tell Ethan it was all a misunderstanding, that I was confused. He'll believe me. He always believes me when you lie for him, Victor finished. When you take the blame for his violence, that's not love, Lena. That's abuse. You don't know anything about love, she shot back. You're right, Victor agreed. But I know a lot about survival. And what you're doing going back to him, that's not survival. That's suicide. The words hit her like a slap. She stared at him, and something in her expression shifted. Who are you, really? Someone who knows what it's like to be powerless, Victor said. Someone who knows what it's like when everyone tells you to accept it, to live with it, to be grateful you aren't at all. And what did you do? She asked quietly. Victor met her eyes. I stopped accepting it, and I made sure no one could make me powerless again. By becoming a criminal. There was no judgment in her voice, just curiosity. By becoming strong, Victor corrected. By building something they couldn't take away. By making sure that if they came for me again, I'd be ready. And you think I can do that? I think you already started, Victor said. You texted for help. You stood up to Ethan in that apartment. You told him the truth, even though you knew what it would cost. That's not weakness, Lena. That's courage. She laughed bitterly. Courage. I'm shaking so hard I can barely stand. I'm terrified of everything. Of him. Of you. Of what happens next. That's not courage. Courage isn't not being scared, Victor said. It's being scared and doing it anyway. Lena was quiet for a long moment. Then, why did you come? When you got my text, you didn't know me. You had no reason to. I had a reason, Victor interrupted. What reason? Victor hesitated. He'd spent 15 years building walls around the answer to that question. But something about the way Lena was looking at him, broken and terrified, but still fighting, made him want to tell the truth. 17 years ago, he said slowly, I was in a situation not unlike yours. Someone with power, someone everyone believed, someone who hurt me and made me think I deserved it. Lena's good eye widened. I tried to get help, Victor continued. I called everyone I could think of, friends, family, the police, and you know what happened? Nothing, she whispered. Worse than nothing. They told me I was lying, that I was causing trouble, that I should be grateful for what I had, so I stopped asking for help, and I survived alone. But I promised myself if I ever had the chance to be the person who came when someone called, I would. Even for a stranger. Especially for a stranger, Victor said. Because strangers don't have any reason to help you except that it's right. Lena's tears came harder now, but they were different. Not panic, something else. I don't know what to do. You don't have to know, Victor said gently. You just have to rest, heal, and when you're ready, we'll figure out the next step together. Together. She shook her head. You're a crime boss. I'm a waitress. There's no together here. You're helping me because you feel sorry for me, or because you think I have information about Ethan, or because when you texted me, something inside me recognized something inside you, Victor interrupted, and I decided that was worth protecting. The silence that followed was heavy with things neither of them knew how to say. Finally, Lena spoke. Ethan told me something. Tonight. About my father. Victor waited. He said he knew what happened the night my father left. He said, her voice broke. He said he knew what I did. What did you do? I don't know. The words came out in a rush. That's the thing. I don't remember. I was 7. There was a fire. My father left and never came back. And my mother, she blamed me. She said it was my fault, that I killed him even though he wasn't dead, just gone. And I've spent my whole life trying to figure out what I did wrong, what made him leave. Maybe you didn't do anything wrong, Victor said. Ethan has the police report. He showed it to me once when we fought. He said if I ever tried to leave, he'd make sure everyone knew, that I'd go to prison, that he was lying, Victor said flatly. Whatever happened that night, you were 7 years old. Children don't go to prison for fires. And if there was a police report that implicated you, Ethan would have used it already. He's bluffing. But what if he's not? Lena's voice was small. What if I really did something terrible and I just don't remember? Then we'll find out the truth, Victor said. Together. There was that word again. Together. It felt foreign in Victor's mouth. He'd spent 15 years alone by choice, trusting no one, needing no one. But looking at Lena, broken and terrified, but still fighting to understand, he realized he'd meant it. His phone buzzed. A text from Roman Morrison's outside. Victor's blood went cold. Come in. Stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me. What's wrong? Lena asked, fear sharpening her voice. Nothing I can't handle. Victor lied. He was already moving toward the door. Victor. Her voice stopped him. If he gets in, if he finds me. He won't, Victor said. It wasn't a promise. It was a threat to anyone who tried. He left the room and found Roman in the hallway, his expression grim. How did he find this place? Victor demanded. He's a cop. He has resources. And boss, he's not alone. He brought his brother. David Morrison, the state senator. This just got political. Victor descended the stairs to his penthouse lobby, Through the windows, he could see two men standing at the entrance. Ethan still in the same clothes from earlier, his face twisted with rage. And beside him, a man who looked like an older, polished version of Ethan, expensive suit, perfect hair, calculated smile. Victor opened the door. "Detective Morrison," he said coolly. "Senator Morrison, to what do I owe the pleasure?" "Cut the shit, Vale." Ethan took a step forward. "I know she's here. I know you have Lena." "Do you?" Victor's expression didn't change. "And you know this, how?" "Your car was seen in Kensington," David Morrison said smoothly, "near Lena's apartment, around the time she went missing. Quite the coincidence." "I go where I please," Victor said. "If that coincides with someone going missing, that's not my problem. It is when you're harboring a mentally unstable woman who needs psychiatric care," David continued. His voice was reasonable, friendly even, the voice of a man who made careers out of persuasion. "We're not here to cause trouble, Mr. Vale. We're here because we're concerned about Lena's well-being. She's sick. She needs help that you can't provide." "And you can?" Victor asked. "We can get her the professional treatment she needs," David said, "in a facility where she'll be safe, where she can't hurt herself." "She didn't hurt herself," Victor said flatly. "Your brother did." Ethan's face flushed. That's insane. She's been telling you lies." "Has she?" Victor pulled out his phone and showed them Dr. Chen's preliminary report. 3 broken ribs, concussion, strangulation marks, defensive wounds, cigarette burns, belt marks, fractures in various stages of healing. Quite the talent for hurting herself, your girlfriend. David's smile didn't waver. Medical records can be misinterpreted. Lena has a documented history of self-harm. Her mother can attest to that. Her mother who abandoned her 15 years ago, Victor asked. That mother. Something flickered in David's eyes, surprise maybe. He hadn't expected Victor to know that. "We have documentation," David pressed. "Medical records, psychiatric evaluations, police reports, all indicating that Lena is a danger to herself and possibly others. If you're holding her against her will." "I'm not holding her," Victor interrupted. "She's staying here of her own choice." "Then let me see her," Ethan demanded. "Let me talk to her. If she wants to stay, she can tell me herself." "No. You can't keep her from me," Ethan's control snapped. "She's my girlfriend. I have rights." "You have nothing," Victor said coldly. "No rights, no claim, no access. She's done with you, Morrison. Accept it and move on." "I'll get a court order," David threatened. "I'll have the police raid this place. You'll do nothing," Victor interrupted, "because Judge Brennan has already signed an order placing Lena under medical supervision, mine. She's under psychiatric hold, as you so desperately wanted, just not with you. Any attempt to remove her without medical approval is illegal, even for a senator." David's smile finally cracked. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" Victor pulled up the document on his phone. "Signed and filed as of 3 a.m. this morning. Check for yourself." The Morrison brothers exchanged a glance. David pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in low tones. His expression darkened. "How did you Brennan wouldn't?" He stopped himself. "This isn't over, Vale. You've made an enemy of the wrong family." "I've made a lot of enemies," Victor said. "What's one more?" "We'll be back," Ethan snarled. "With lawyers, with the media, with everything we have. And when we're done with you, when you're done with me, I'll still be standing," Victor said. "Because unlike you, I don't break things weaker than me to feel strong. I become stronger." And Morrison. He leaned in close, his voice dropping to something deadly. "If you come near Lena again, if you so much as think her name, I will destroy you. Not quickly, not mercifully. I will take everything you've built, your career, your family's reputation, your freedom, and I will burn it all to ash. Do you understand me?" Ethan's face went white. "Good talk," Victor said. He stepped back and closed the door in their faces. Through the window, he watched them leave. David's face was calculating, already planning the next move. Ethan's was pure rage. This wasn't over. Not even close. Roman appeared at his shoulder. "That went well." "They'll be back," Victor said. "With lawyers probably, maybe reporters. They're going to make this as public and ugly as possible. And if they succeed, if they get a different judge, a higher court order, then we escalate," Victor said simply. He turned away from the window. Get me everything on David Morrison, every vote he's ever taken, every donor he's ever accepted, every skeleton in his perfect political closet. If we're going to war with the Morrison family, I want ammunition. Boss, Kate appeared from the hallway. The woman, she's asking for you. Victor climbed the stairs and found Lena sitting on the edge of the bed, her face pale but determined. I heard, she said quietly. They were here. They're gone now. For how long? She looked at him with ancient eyes. How long before they come back with something you can't fight? Something that forces you to give me up? That's not going to happen. You don't know that, she said. You don't know them, what they're capable of. Then tell me, Victor said. Tell me everything you know about the Morrison family. Every secret, every lie, every piece of leverage Ethan ever mentioned. Because if we're going to beat them, I need to know how they think. Lena was quiet for a long moment. Then she started talking. And Victor listened as she unraveled the carefully constructed facade of Philadelphia's most powerful family, one terrible secret at a time. Lena's hands shook as she spoke. Ethan used to get drunk and brag about cases he'd buried, evidence he'd lost, people his family had paid off to keep quiet. Victor pulled out his phone and started recording. Start from the beginning. Every name, every case, everything you remember. There was a woman named Jennifer Hayes. She accused David Ethan's brother of sexual assault. This was before he was senator. Maybe 8 years ago. Lena's voice was barely above a whisper. Ethan laughed about it. Said David was sloppy, left bruises where people could see. But their father, James Morrison, he made it disappear. Paid her $50,000. Made her sign an NDA. Ethan said she moved to Oregon and never came back. Victor's fingers flew across his phone, texting Marcus. What else? There was a kid, teenager, black kid named Deshaun Miller. Ethan arrested him for drug possession. But Ethan, he planted the drugs. I heard him on the phone with his father laughing about it. Said the kid looked like trouble and the neighborhood would be better off with him locked up. Lena's voice cracked. Deshaun got 15 years. He was 17. When was this? Victor demanded. 3 years ago, maybe 4. I'm not sure exactly. It's okay, keep going. Ethan has a partner, Detective Roy Sullivan. They cover for each other. Roy's been taking bribes from a drug dealer named Carlos Vega. Ethan knows because he takes a cut. They've been doing it for years. The words were coming faster now, like a dam breaking. And there's money, lots of money. The Morrison family has an offshore account. Ethan showed it to me once when he was drunk. Said it was insurance. Said if anything ever happened, they had enough money hidden to disappear forever. Victor's jaw clenched. Account numbers, bank names. I can't remember all of it, but I took a picture. She reached for her phone, then stopped. Ethan has my phone. He took it before tonight. We'll get it back, Victor said. What else? Michelle, the woman who fell down the stairs, she didn't just disappear. She called me 6 months ago. Lena's eye filled with tears. She found my number somehow. She said she needed to warn me that Ethan was going to kill me just like he'd tried to kill her. She said the stairs, it wasn't an accident. He pushed her. And when she survived, the Morrisons paid her to leave but made her agree to never contact anyone from Philadelphia again. But she broke the NDA to warn me. Where is she now? Victor asked. I don't know. She hung up before I could ask. The call came from a blocked number. And I didn't believe her. I thought she was just bitter, jealous. I thought... Lena's voice broke completely. I thought Ethan loved me, that he was just stressed, that it was my fault for making him angry. Victor knelt in front of her, his voice gentle but firm. It was never your fault. None of it. You understand me. How can you be so sure? She whispered. You don't know the things I said to him? Nothing you said or did justifies what he did to you, Victor interrupted. Nothing. And Lena, the fact that you're sitting here telling me this, putting yourself at risk to expose him, that takes more courage than you know. It doesn't feel like courage. It feels like betrayal. Good, Victor said, because that means you're breaking free from what he programmed you to believe. That telling the truth is betrayal. That protecting yourself is selfish. That's his voice in your head, not yours. Lena looked at him with something like wonder. How do you know so much about this? Because I lived it, Victor said simply. He stood and resumed pacing his mind, already working through the information. This is good. This is ammunition. But we need more. We need proof. Ethan keeps files, Lena said suddenly. At his house. His real house, not my apartment. He has a safe in his basement. I saw inside it once. There were folders, documents, photos of the women, before and after. He said it was insurance in case any of them ever tried to come forward. Proof they were unstable. Victor went very still. Photos. Of the injuries, of them crying, bruised, broken. Lena's voice was hollow. He said if they ever accused him, he'd say they were into rough sex, that they begged for it, that he had pictures proving they enjoyed it. The rage that swept through Victor was cold and absolute. Where's this house? Chestnut Hill, 1847 Willow Grove Avenue. But Victor, you can't just break in. He's a cop. He has security, cameras. And if you get caught, I won't get caught, Victor said. He was already texting Roman and Cade. We're getting those files. Tonight, Lena's voice rose. You can't. It's too dangerous. Lena, Victor looked at her. Every minute those files exist is another minute Ethan has power over you. Over Michelle. Over every woman he's ever hurt. We're ending this. Tonight. She stared at him, and something shifted in her expression. Fear, yes, but also hope. Desperate, fragile hope. What if it goes wrong? What if you It won't, Victor said. But even as he said it, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. He opened it, and his blood ran cold. It was a photo of Lena's friend Sarah, bound to a chair, tape over her mouth, eyes wide with terror. The message below read, You have something I want. I have something you want. Let's trade. Lena saw his expression. What? What is it? Victor showed her the phone. Lena's face went white. No. Sarah's in Boston. She's safe. Another text. She came back to visit family. Wasn't hard to find. You have 1 hour to bring Lena to the old shipyard on Delaware Avenue. Come alone. If I see your men, if I see cops, Sarah dies. And then I come for Lena's other friends, her coworkers, everyone she's ever cared about. He's bluffing, Victor said, but his voice was tight. He wouldn't. You don't know him. Lena was on her feet, ignoring the pain in her ribs. He's capable of anything. Sarah didn't do anything wrong. This is my fault. I have to go. You're not going anywhere near him, Victor said firmly. She's my best friend, the only person who Victor slees. I can't let him hurt her because of me. If you go, he'll kill you both, Victor said. This is a trap. He gets you isolated, he kills you, and then he probably kills Sarah anyway to cover his tracks. Then what do we do? Lena's voice was desperate. We have to save her. Victor's mind raced. 1 hour. The shipyard was 40 minutes away. That left 20 minutes to plan. Roman, Victor called. Roman appeared instantly. Get Marcus, get everyone. We're going to the shipyard. Boss, if this is a trap. It is trap, Victor said, which is why we're going to spring it on our terms. He turned to Lena. I need you to trust me. Can you do that? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Good, because I'm going to get Sarah back, and then I'm going to make Ethan Morrison wish he'd never touched either of you. 20 minutes later, they had a plan. It was risky, probably stupid, but it was all they had. Victor's phone rang. Ethan. Time's ticking veil, Ethan said. His voice was smooth, controlled. Where's my girl? You mean your hostage? Victor asked. I mean my girlfriend, the unstable woman you're keeping against her will. Bring her to me and Sarah goes home safe. Everyone wins. Except Lena ends up dead, Victor said flatly. Lena ends up where she belongs, Ethan corrected. With me, where I can take care of her, protect her from herself. Like you protected Michelle and Sarah and Natalie. Silence on the other end. Then, I don't know what lies Alina's been telling you, but I know about Deshaun Miller, Victor interrupted. I know about the planted drugs, the offshore accounts, your brother's assault victim. I know everything, Ethan. And if anything happens to Sarah or Lena, all of it goes public. You're bluffing, Ethan said, but his voice wavered. Am I want to test that theory? Another silence. You have 40 minutes. The shipyard, alone, or Sarah dies screaming, and I make sure everyone knows it was your fault. The line went dead. Lena grabbed Victor's arm. You can't go alone. He'll kill you. I'm not going alone, Victor said. I'm just going to make him think I am. Kate entered with a bulletproof vest and an earpiece. Snipers in position across from the shipyard. Marcus has eyes on every entrance. If Morrison so much as twitches wrong, we've got him. And if he has backup, Lena asked. What if his brother's there? What if... Then we adapt, Victor said. He looked at Roman. She stays here. Lock this place down. No one gets in or out except us. No, Lena stepping forward. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not, Victor said. He wants me. If I'm not there, he'll know it's a trap. He'll kill Sarah just to make a point. Lena's voice was steady despite her tears. I have to be there. You know I'm right. Victor wanted to argue, wanted to lock her in the penthouse and keep her safe. But she was right. Ethan would smell a trap if Lena wasn't there. You stay in the car, he said finally, with Roman. Doors locked, bulletproof glass. At the first sign of trouble, Roman drives you out of there. Understood? Lena nodded. Say it, Victor demanded. At the first sign of trouble, we leave, she repeated. Good. Victor checked his gun, slipped it into his jacket. Let's go get your friend. The drive to the shipyard was silent. Lena sat in the back seat, her hands clenched in her lap. Victor could see her reflection in the window, pale, terrified, but determined. Victor, she said quietly. Yeah. Thank you for all of this, for believing me, for helping Sarah, for... Don't thank me yet, Victor interrupted. Thank me when everyone's safe. And if we don't all make it out, Victor met her eyes in the rearview mirror. We will, I promise. You can't promise that, she whispered. Watch me, he said. They arrived at the shipyard with 5 minutes to spare. The abandoned building loomed against the night sky, rusted and decaying. Perfect place for an ambush. Victor's earpiece crackled. Eyes on Morrison, Marcus reported. He's inside the main building, 2nd floor. I count 2 other heat signatures. One's moving, probably Sarah, the other's stationary. Could be backup. Can you get a shot, Victor asked. Not without risking the hostage. He's using her as a shield. Of course he was. Ethan Morrison was a coward, but he wasn't stupid. Victor turned to Lena. Remember what I said. Stay in the car, no matter what happens. Victor. No matter what, he repeated. Then he stepped out into the cold night air. The shipyard was silent, except for the sound of water lapping against old pilings. Victor walked toward the building, his hands visible, his gun concealed beneath his jacket. Morrison, he called. I'm here. A door opened on the 2nd floor. Ethan appeared, Sarah in front of him, a gun pressed to her temple. Even from this distance, Victor could see Sarah was terrified, her eyes wild, her clothes torn. Where's Lena? Ethan called down. Safe, Victor said. Let Sarah go and we'll talk about what happens next. That's not how this works, Ethan said. You bring me Lena, I let Sarah go. Simple exchange. Nothing simple with you, Victor said. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, Ethan said cheerfully. But what choice do you have? Sarah dies in 3 minutes if Lena doesn't show. 2 minutes and 50 seconds. 2 minutes and 40. Ethan, Lena's voice rang out across the shipyard. Victor's heart stopped. No, she was supposed to stay in the car. She was supposed to... Lena walked out from behind the Mercedes, her hands raised, her face pale but determined. I'm here, she called. Let Sarah go. Lena, baby. Ethan's voice was suddenly warm, loving. There you are. I've been so worried about you. Come on up here. Let's talk about this. Let Sarah go first, Lena said. How about this? Ethan countered. You come up here, I let Sarah go. Fair trade. No, Sarah screamed around the tape. Don't run. Ethan slammed the gun against her head and Sarah crumpled. Next time I won't be gentle. Move Lena. Now. Lena started walking toward the building. Victor moved to intercept her, but she shook her head minutely. Trust me, her eyes said. That's it, Ethan encouraged as Lena climbed the stairs. That's my good girl. See how much better things are when you just do what I say. Lena reached the 2nd floor. She stood 10 feet from Ethan, her entire body trembling. Let her go, she said quietly. In a minute, Ethan said. First tell Vale and all his little friends hiding in the shadows that they need to leave. This is between us, Lena, between you and me, like it's always been. I'm not leaving, Victor called up, and neither is she. Ethan's expression hardened. Then I guess we're at an impasse. He aimed the gun at Sarah's unconscious form. I'll start with her, then I'll move to Lena's co-workers, then her landlady, then everyone she's ever smiled at. I'll make you watch as I erase everyone you care about, Lena. And then when you have nothing and no one left, I'll take you home where you belong. Home. Lena's voice was strange. Calm. Too calm. You mean the apartment I pay for, the one you moved into uninvited? The one where you beat me until I couldn't see straight. I never beat you, Ethan said. You fell. You're clumsy. Accident-prone. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows what you told them to know, Lena corrected. But Victor knows the truth, and soon everyone will. No one will believe you, Ethan said. I'm a decorated officer from a respected family. You're an unstable waitress with mental health issues and a history of self-harm. Who do you think they'll believe? I think, Lena said, pulling something from her pocket, they'll believe this. She held up her phone. The screen glowed in the darkness. Ethan's face went white. Where did you get that? I took your phone. You took the burner I bought last month, Lena said. This is my real phone, the one I've been using to record every threat, every admission, every time you told me what you'd do if I'd ever tried to leave. She looked at Victor. Did you get all that? Victor's earpiece crackled with Marcus's voice. Every word. And we're live streaming to 3 different secure servers. Even if Morrison destroys the phone now, it won't matter. Victor smiled. Looks like you're the one who's trapped, detective. Ethan's face twisted with rage. You think this matters. You think some recordings will make a difference. My family will bury this. They'll destroy you both. They'll do nothing, a new voice said. Everyone froze. A figure emerged from the shadows at the far end of the second floor. Not one of Victor's men. Someone else. James Morrison, Ethan's father. The former police commissioner. Dad? Ethan's voice was confused. What are you? I thought you were in D.C. I was, James said coldly. Until I got a very interesting phone call from Judge Brennan, telling me about the emergency psychiatric hold, about the missing persons report, about my son kidnapping a woman to use as leverage against a crime boss. He looked at Ethan with disgust. What have you done? I'm handling it, Ethan said desperately. I'm getting Lena back. I'm fixing this. You're making it worse, James roared. Do you have any idea what you've done? The evidence against you, the witnesses to the recordings. He looked at Victor. How much do you have? Everything, Victor said simply. The offshore accounts, the planted evidence, Deshaun Miller, Jennifer Hayes, the other women. All of it. James closed his eyes. When he opened them, something had changed in his expression. He looked older, tired. Let Sarah go, he said to Ethan. Dad, you don't understand. Let her go, James repeated. Now. She'll testify. She'll testify anyway, James said flatly. Just like Lena will. Just like Michelle Carver and Sarah Brennan and every other woman you've hurt. It's over, Ethan. It's been over for years. I've just been too blind or too corrupt to see it. You're on their side. Ethan's voice rose to a shriek. Your own son. You stopped being my son when you became a monster, James said quietly. He pulled out his own gun. Put yours down. Surrender. Let me try to salvage what's left of this family's reputation. No. Ethan's gun swung between his father Victor and Lena. No, no, no. This isn't how this ends. I don't lose. I never lose, Ethan. James started. Shut up, Ethan screamed. All of you shut up. I'm in control here. I decide what happens. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space, but it didn't come from Ethan's gun. It came from Sarah's hand. She'd regained consciousness while everyone was distracted. She'd grabbed the gun that Ethan had dropped by her side when he was arguing with his father. And she'd shot him, not to kill, in the leg. But Ethan went down, screaming his own gun, clattering across the floor. That's for Lena, Sarah said, her voice shaking, and for every woman you've ever hurt. Chaos erupted. James ran to his son. Victor's men poured into the building. Roman rushed to Lena, pulling her away from the blood spreading across the floor. And Victor caught Sarah as she collapsed, the adrenaline finally leaving her system. I've got you, he said. You're safe now. Lena, Sarah managed. She's safe too, Victor said. You both are. Ethan was still screaming, clutching his leg. I'll kill you, all of you, You'll shut up, James said wearily, and you'll go to prison, where you should have gone years ago. He looked at Victor. I won't fight you. Whatever evidence you have, use it. My son, his voice broke. My son deserves whatever's coming to him. And you, Victor asked. You knew what he was doing. You helped cover it up. I did, James said, and I'll face whatever consequences come from that. But first, he pulled out his phone and spun him. I'm calling the police, the real police, the ones I didn't corrupt, and I'm turning my son in myself. Victor nodded slowly. Make the call. As James dialed, as Ethan screamed threats and promises and pleas, Victor found Lena. She was standing with Sarah, the two women holding each other like they were the only solid things in a world gone mad. Is it over? Lena asked quietly. Victor looked at Ethan Morrison bleeding. Broken his power, shattered his secrets, exposed. He looked at James Morrison, making the call that would destroy what was left of his family's legacy. He looked at the recording still streaming, the evidence being copied to servers around the world, the case that would send Ethan to prison for decades. Yeah, Victor said, it's over. Lena started to cry. Not the desperate, terrified tears from before. Different tears. The kind that came when something heavy finally lifted. Sarah held her tighter. You did it. You actually did it. We did it, Lena corrected. She looked at Victor. All of us. The police arrived 10 minutes later. Real police this time, not the ones on Morrison payroll. They took Ethan into custody, read him his rights while he screamed about corruption and frame jobs and conspiracies. They took James too, though he went quietly. Victor gave his statement, showed them the recordings, turned over the evidence Marcus had gathered, watched as Philadelphia's golden family crumbled under the weight of their own crimes. And when it was finally done, when the sun was rising over the shipyard and the reporters were already gathering at police headquarters, Victor drove Lena and Sarah back to his penthouse. They were safe. But safe, Victor was learning, was just the beginning. The silence in the penthouse was different now. Not the tense, dangerous silence from before, but something heavier. The silence of people who'd survived something they shouldn't have and didn't quite know what to do with that fact. Sarah sat on Victor's expensive couch with a blanket wrapped around her shoulders, staring at nothing. Dr. Chen had examined her bruises, mild concussion, rope burns on her wrists, and declared her physically fine. But her hands hadn't stopped shaking. Lena sat beside her, their fingers intertwined, neither of them speaking. Victor stood by the window watching the sun climb over Philadelphia, turning the city gold. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing. Reporters, business associates, people who wanted to know if the rumors were true, if Victor Vale had really gone to war with the Morrison family over a woman. He ignored them all. I should call my mom, Sarah said suddenly. Her voice was hoarse from screaming. She's probably worried. I told her I'd be home by midnight. It's 6 a.m., Lena said quietly. I know. Sarah laughed, but it came out wrong, broken. She's definitely called the police by now. Filed a missing persons report. Oh God, she probably thinks I'm dead. Call her, Victor said, turning from the window. Tell her you're safe. Tell her. Tell her what? Sarah's voice rose. That I got kidnapped by my best friend's psycho ex-boyfriend, that I shot him, that I'm sitting in a crime boss's penthouse at 6 a.m. covered in bruises. Tell her you're with me, Lena said. Tell her we had a girls' night that ran long. Tell her anything that keeps her from panicking. Sarah stared at Hero. You want me to lie to my mother? I want you to not terrify her until you're ready to explain, Lena said. Trust me, Sarah. Sometimes the truth can wait. Something in her voice made Sarah's expression soften. How long did you lie for him? For Ethan. Lena didn't answer right away. When she did, her voice was barely audible. Every day for 2 years. Jesus, Sarah whispered. She pulled Lena into a hug, and both women started crying. Not the desperate sobs from earlier quieter tears, the kind that came from release. Victor's phone rang. He checked the caller ID and tensed. David Morrison, he answered. Senator, you destroyed my family. David's voice was cold, controlled. The voice of a man who'd spent a career hiding his rage behind political polish. My father's in custody. My brother's in the hospital under guard. Our name is all over the news. Every deal I've made, every alliance I've built gone because of you. Because of your brother, Victor corrected. I just exposed what was already there. Semantics, David spat. You think this is over. You think you've won. I think Ethan Morrison is going to prison, Victor said. I think the women he hurt are finally safe. If that's winning, then yes. Safe, David laughed bitterly. You have no idea what you've started. My family has enemies, Victor. Powerful enemies who've been waiting for an opportunity like this. And now that we're weak, they're going to come for us. And when they do, they're going to come for everyone connected to this mess, including your little girlfriend. She's not my girlfriend, Victor said. No, then what is she? A charity case, a pet project, or maybe... David's voice turned knowing. Maybe she's the first crack in Victor Vale's armor. The first sign that the untouchable crime boss actually gives a damn about something other than power. What's your point, Senator? My point, David said, is that you've made yourself vulnerable. And in our world, in the world you chose when you became what you are, vulnerability gets you killed. So enjoy your victory, Vale, because it won't last. The line went dead. Victor stood very still, David's words echoing in his mind. He was right. Victor had made himself vulnerable, had exposed a weakness that his enemies could exploit. But looking at Lena broken and healing and alive, he couldn't bring himself to regret it. Who was that? Lena asked. She'd stopped crying, but her face was still wet. No one important, Victor lied. You're a terrible liar, she said. It was David, wasn't it? Ethan's brother. Victor didn't answer, which was answer enough. What did he want? Lena pressed. To threaten me, to warn me, to make sure I knew this wasn't over. Victor met her eyes. He's not wrong. What do you mean? I mean, the Morrison family has been a power in this city for 3 generations. They have allies, resources, people who owe them favors. And now that Ethan and James are out of commission, David's going to do everything he can to salvage their reputation, which means destroying ours. Ours, Lena repeated. Victor, there is no ours. This isn't my fight. I'm just the waitress who accidentally texted you. This mess, the politics, the power plays, that's your world, not mine. It became your world the moment Ethan Morrison decided you were his, Victor said quietly. And it's going to stay your world until we make sure he can never touch you again. He's in prison. He's in custody, Victor corrected. There's a difference. He hasn't been tried yet, hasn't been convicted. And with a family like the Morrisons, there's always a chance. Stop. Lena stood up, wincing as her ribs protested. Just stop. I can't think about this right now. I can't think about trials and convictions and what ifs. I just want, her voice cracked. I just want to feel safe for 5 minutes. Is that too much to ask? Victor crossed to her and without thinking pulled her into his arms. She stiffened at first, then collapsed against him, her body shaking with sobs she'd been holding back. You're safe, he said into her hair. I promise you're safe. You can't promise that, she said, but she didn't pull away. I can, Victor insisted, because I'm not letting anything happen to you. Not Ethan, not David, not anyone. Why? Oh, the question was muffled against his chest. Why do you care so much? You don't owe me anything. I'm nobody. You keep saying that, Victor interrupted, that you're nobody, but you're wrong. You're the woman who stood up to her abuser even when you knew it might kill you. You're the woman who testified against him knowing what it would cost. You're the woman who saved your best friend even though you were terrified. That's not nobody, Lena. That's someone worth protecting. She pulled back to look at him, tears streaming down her face. I don't know how to be that person you think I am. You don't have to know, Victor said. You just have to keep being yourself. The rest will follow. Sarah cleared her throat. They both turned to find her watching them with an expression that was half knowing, half concerned. I'm going to call my mom, give you two some privacy. You don't have to, Lena started. Yeah, I do, Sarah said. She squeezed Lena's hand as she passed. We'll talk later, about everything. But right now you need to hear what he's saying, really hear it. She disappeared into the guest room, leaving Victor and Lena alone. She thinks there's something between us, Lena said quietly. Is she wrong? Victor asked. Lena looked up at him and he saw the war happening behind her eyes, fear and hope, doubt and desire. The part of her that wanted to believe and the part that had been broken too many times to trust. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know what's real anymore. My feelings, they're all tangled up with gratitude and trauma, and I can't tell if what I'm feeling is real or if it's just Stockholm Syndrome, Victor supplied. Trauma bonding, misplaced gratitude. Yes, she admitted. Those are fair questions, Victor said, and I don't have good answers. All I know is that when I got your text, something inside me woke up. Something I thought I'd buried years ago. The part of me that still believes in saving people, in being saved. You weren't saved, Lena said. You told me. No one came for you. No, Victor agreed, but that doesn't mean I stopped wanting them to. Wanting someone to see that I was drowning and reach out a hand. You gave me the chance to be that hand, Lena. And maybe that's selfish. Maybe I'm helping you because it helps me deal with my own past. But whatever the reason, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Lena was quiet for a long moment. Then, what happens now? Now we make sure Ethan stays in prison, Victor said. We gather every piece of evidence. We find the other women he hurt and convince them to testify. We build a case so airtight that even the Morrison family connections can't break it. And after that, you decide what you want your life to look like, Victor said. You want to go back to waitressing, fine. You want to leave Philadelphia? I'll help you start over somewhere new. You want to stay here and rebuild? I'll make sure you have the resources to do it. Whatever you want, Lena. This is your life now. Not Ethan's. Yours. What if I don't know what I want? She asked. Then you take your time figuring it out, Victor said. No pressure, no timeline. He hesitated. Just know that you have options and people who care about what happens to you. People like you, she said. It wasn't quite a question. People like me, Victor confirmed. Lena's phone buzzed. She pulled it out and her face went white. What? Victor asked, immediately alert. She showed him the screen. A text from an unknown number. Congratulations on your victory, but prison bars don't stop family loyalty. Watch your back, little bird. This isn't over. Little bird, Lena whispered. That's what Ethan's mother used to call me. She said I was delicate, fragile, easy to break. Catherine Morrison, Victor said, his mind racing. James's wife, I didn't even think about her. She's worse than any of them, Lena said, her voice shaking. She's the one who taught Ethan how to manipulate people, how to present the perfect image while hiding the rot underneath. She used to smile at me with this cold smile and tell me how lucky I was to have Ethan, how I should be grateful, how women like me needed men like him to give our lives meaning. Victor's phone buzzes. Marcus Catherine Morrison just hired a private security firm. Former military, 6 men. They're not defensive security, boss. They're hunters. We need to move, Victor said. Now. What? Why? Because Ethan's mother just hired people to come after you, Victor said. He was already texting Roman. And unlike Ethan, she's smart enough to know that legal methods won't work against me. So she's going to what? Have me killed. She's going to try, Victor said, which means we need to disappear for a while, let things cool down. Let the legal system do its job while we stay out of sight. I can't just disappear. I have a job, a life. I can't. You have a life that people are actively trying to end, Victor interrupted. Your job can wait. Your safety can't. Roman appeared in the doorway. Cars are ready. I've got a safe house 2 hours north, off the grid. No one knows about it except us. Sarah, Lena started. Comes with us, Victor said. Anyone connected to you is at risk right now. Sarah, Dr. Chen, anyone you've ever spoken to. We get them somewhere safe until the trial. This is insane, Lena said. We're running, hiding. That's what he wants. That's what they all want, to make us scared, to make us weak. There's nothing weak about strategic retreat, Victor said. We regroup, we plan, we come back stronger. Or we stand our ground, Lena said, and there was something new in her voice, something hard. We stop running, we stop hiding, we make them come to us, and when they do, we're ready. Victor stared at her. That's suicide. No, Lena said. Running is suicide, slow suicide, always looking over my shoulder, always wondering when they'll find me, always being afraid. I'm done being afraid, Victor. I'm done letting them control my life. Ethan controlled where I went, what I wore, who I talked to. I'm not trading his control for yours. I'm not trying to control you. You're trying to protect me, Lena interrupted. I know, and I'm grateful, but protection that comes at the cost of my freedom is just another mon. A nicer cage maybe, but still a cage. The words hit Victor like a physical blow, because she was right. He'd been so focused on keeping her safe that he hadn't considered what she wanted, what she needed. What do you want to do? He asked quietly. I want to fight, Lena said. I want to face them. I want to testify at Ethan's trial and look him in the eyes and tell the world what he did to me. I want to find Michelle and Sarah and Natalie and convince them to stand with me. I want to make sure every woman he ever hurt gets justice. And I want... Her voice broke. I want my life back. Not the life I had with Ethan. The life I should have had. The one I would have had if he'd never touched me. Victor looked at this woman bruised and broken, but standing tall, and felt something shift in his chest. She wasn't asking for protection anymore. She was asking for partnership, for the tools to fight her own battles. Okay, he said. Okay, Lena repeated clearly, surprised. Okay, Victor confirmed. We fight, but we fight smart. We use my resources, my connections, my knowledge of how these families operate. We build your case. We find the other women. We make Ethan Morrison and his entire family wish they'd never met you. But Lena, he stepped closer, his voice intense. If we do this, you have to promise me something. What? You have to let me keep you alive long enough to see it through, Victor said. That means listening when I say something's too dangerous. That means trusting my judgment about security. That means accepting that fighting back doesn't mean being reckless. Can you do that? Lena met his eyes. Can you promise to treat me like a partner, not a victim? To ask my opinion instead of making decisions for me? To remember that this is my fight, not yours. This is our fight now, Victor said. And yes, I promise. They stood there inches apart, the morning sun painting them in gold. Sarah emerged from the bedroom. I talked to my mom, told her I'm staying with Lena for a few days. She was not thrilled about the lack of details, but she stopped looking between them. Did I interrupt something? No, Lena said, but she didn't step away from Victor. We're making a plan. A plan for what? For ending this, Victor said, permanently. How? Sarah asked. Victor's phone rang before he could answer. Judge Brennan. Well, we have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where Ethan Morrison's lawyer just filed a motion to suppress all the evidence from last night. He's claiming illegal wiretapping, unlawful detention, coercion. If this motion goes through, everything you recorded, all of it gets thrown out. Victor's grip tightened on the phone. On what grounds? On the grounds that you're a known criminal with a vested interest in destroying the Morrison family's reputation. The lawyer's arguing that you orchestrated the entire thing to frame Ethan, that you manipulated Lena into making false accusations, that the recordings were obtained through illegal means. That's bullshit, Victor said. It's effective bullshit, Brennan countered, because you are a known criminal, and you did have a vested interest. And the recordings were obtained through methods that are, legally speaking, questionable at best. So what are you saying? I'm saying you need better evidence. Evidence that can't be tied to you. Evidence that comes from the victims themselves, not from you. Victor looked at Lena, the other women. If they testify, and if their testimony is credible, and if they can corroborate Lena's claims with their own experiences, then we might have a case, Brennan said. Might. But these women disappeared for a reason. Finding them is going to be hard. Convincing them to come forward is going to be harder. And keeping them alive long enough to testify, that's going to be damn near impossible. Then that's what we do, Victor said. We find them, we convince them, we protect them. And if you can't, then Ethan Morrison walks free, Victor said quietly. And everything we did last night was for nothing. He hung up and looked at Lena and Sarah. We need to find the other women, he said. Michelle Carver, Sarah Brennan, Natalie Torres. They're the key to making sure Ethan stays locked up. Where do we start? Lena asked. With you, Victor said. You knew them. You talked to Michelle 6 months ago. Did she say anything? Give you any hint about where she was? Lena closed her eyes, trying to remember. She said she was somewhere cold. Somewhere it snowed even in April. And she mentioned, what was it she mentioned, seeing moose or elk? Something like that. Montana, Sarah said. Both of them turned to look at her. What I watch a lot of nature documentaries. Montana has moose, and it definitely snows in April. Montana's a big state, Victor said, but he was already texting Marcus. I'll have my people start looking. What about the others, Sarah and Natalie? I never met them, Lena said. I only knew they existed because Ethan would, when he was drunk, he'd compare me to them. Say I was prettier than Sarah, but not as obedient. Say I was smarter than Natalie, but more difficult. It was like he was rating us, ranking us. He kept files, Victor remembered. You said he had files on all of you, photos, documents. If we can get those files. They're in his house, Lena said, in the safe in his basement. But the police have to have searched it by now. They would have found what? Victor asked. A safe full of evidence that their colleague is an abuser. A safe that belongs to the son of their former commissioner, Lena. You're assuming the police who searched that house weren't loyal to the Morrison family. The implications hung in the air. So the files might still be there, Sarah said slowly. Or they might have been destroyed, Victor said. Or handed over to David Morrison to bury. Either way, we need to know. Which means, we're breaking into Ethan Morrison's house, Lena finished. I'm breaking into Ethan Morrison's house, Victor corrected. You're staying here where it's safe. We just had this conversation, Lena said, about you not making decisions for me, about this being our fight. Breaking into a potentially guarded house to steal evidence from a powerful family is not fighting smart, Victor argued. It's fighting stupid. Then we'll be smart about it, Lena said. But I'm coming. I know the house. I know where the safe is. I know the security codes because Ethan made me memorize them. You need me, Victor. He wanted to argue, wanted to lock her in the penthouse and keep her safe. But looking at her face determined fierce done with being protected, he knew she was right. Fine, he said, but we do this my way. My team, my plan, my rules. Agreed. Agreed, Lena said. Victor pulled out his phone and made the call that would either save them all or destroy everything. Marcus, he said, we need to plan a burglary, and we need to do it tonight before the Morrison family realizes what we're after. Boss breaking into a cop's house while he's under investigation, that's insane. I know, Victor said, but we're doing it anyway. Because somewhere in Philadelphia, 3 women were hiding, 3 women who held the key to making sure Ethan Morrison never hurt anyone again. And Victor Vale was going to find them. No matter what it cost, the plan was simple on paper. Wait until dark, cut the power to Ethan's house. Get in, get the files, get out. 15 minutes tops. But standing outside the Morrison estate at 11 p.m. watching the lights through the windows, Lena felt her courage starting to crack. We can still turn back, Victor said quietly. He'd been watching her face. Say the word and we leave. Find another way. There is no other way, Lena said. You said it yourself. Without those files, without proof of the other women Ethan walks. Then I'll go in alone. We already had this argument, Lena interrupted, and I won. So stop trying to protect me and start trusting me. Victor looked like he wanted to argue, but Roman's voice crackled through the earpiece. Power's cut. You've got 12 minutes before the backup generator kicks in. Move. They moved. Lena's hands shook as she punched in the security code, the same code Ethan had made her memorize, the same code she'd used 100 times when he'd locked her out of her own apartment as a punishment. The door clicked open. Inside the house was dark and silent. Too silent, like it was holding its breath. Basement's this way, Lena whispered, leading Victor through the familiar hallways. She'd been here before, of course. Ethan had brought her here for family dinners where Catherine Morrison would smile her cold smile and ask Lena when she was planning to lose weight, to dress better, to be worthy of the Morrison name. The basement door was locked. Victor made quick work of it. They descended into darkness, and Lena's breathing became shallow. This was where Ethan brought women. This was where he kept his trophies, his proof, his power. There, she pointed to a painting on the wall. The safe's behind it. Victor pulled the painting aside, revealing a digital safe. Code. I don't know it. He never... Lena stopped. Wait, try 07142019. What's that? The date his mother was born, Lena said. Everything in Ethan's life revolves around her. Victor entered the code. The safe beeped, clicked, opened. Inside were folders, dozens of them, each labeled with a woman's name. Michelle, Sarah, Natalie, and others. So many others. Women Lena had never heard of, women whose names Ethan had never mentioned. "Oh God," Lena whispered. "There are so many." Victor was already pulling out folders, his face grim. "We take everything. Every file, every photo, every piece of—" The lights came on, both of them froze. "Well, well." Catherine Morrison stood at the top of the basement stairs, a gun in her hand. "I had a feeling you'd come here. Ethan said you were stupid, Lena, but I didn't realize you were this stupid." Victor moved to put himself between Lena and Catherine, but Catherine laughed. "Please, you think I'm here alone, Marcus? That's your man. Outside, isn't it, is currently dealing with the security team I hired. And the other one, Roman, he's discovering that cutting the power also disabled his communications. You're isolated, trapped, and about to learn what happens when you threaten a Morrison. Your son is a rapist and an abuser," Lena said, and her voice didn't shake. "Shooting us won't change that. My son," Catherine said coldly, "is a victim of your lies, of your manipulation, of your desperate need for attention. And when they find your bodies here breaking into his home, stealing his property, well, the narrative writes itself, doesn't it?" "You won't get away with this," Victor said. "Won't I?" Catherine smiled. "I've been getting away with things for 30 years, Mr. Vale. I've buried scandals, paid off witnesses, made problems disappear. What's 2 more bodies?" "You're insane," Lena breathed. "I'm a mother," Catherine corrected, "protecting her child, something you'd understand if you'd ever been worth protecting." She raised the gun. "Any last words?" "Yes," Victor said. "Marcus now." The gunshot was deafening, but it didn't come from Catherine's gun. It came from the top of the stairs where Marcus had appeared, his own weapon drawn. Catherine's gun clattered to the floor as she grabbed her shoulder, screaming. "Boss, you okay?" Marcus called down. "Fine," Victor said, already moving up the stairs. "Secure her. Call the police. Tell them we just caught Catherine Morrison attempting murder." "You can't. I'm a Morrison. This is my house." Catherine was gasping through the pain. "This is your son's house," Victor corrected, "and you just committed armed assault in front of witnesses. Good luck explaining that to your lawyers." Roman appeared, blood on his knuckles. Security teams handled. Most of them surrendered once they realized what they were being paid to do. A few needed convincing. Victor looked at Lena. "Get the files, all of them. We're leaving." Lena grabbed the folders with shaking hands, stuffing them into the bag Roman had brought. As she worked, she felt something shift inside her. Catherine Morrison, the woman who'd terrorized her with looks and words and impossible expectations, was on the floor, defeated. Powerless, just like Ethan. Just like all of them, eventually. The police arrived 8 minutes later. Real police this time, officers who weren't on the Morrison payroll. They took Catherine into custody, took statements, bagged evidence. And when they were done, when Lena and Victor were finally sitting in the back of his car with a bag full of files that would destroy the Morrison family forever, Lena started laughing. Not happy laughter, hysterical laughter, the kind that came from surviving something impossible. "We did it," she said between gasps. "We actually did it." "We did," Victor agreed, but his expression was troubled. "What's wrong?" "This isn't over," he said. "Catherine's in custody, Ethan's in custody, but David the senator, he's still free, still powerful, and now we've given him even more reason to come after us." "Let him come," Lena said, and she meant it. "I'm done being afraid. Of him. Of all of them." Victor looked at her, and something in his expression made her breath catch. "You've changed since that first night. You're stronger," Lena supplied. "Braver, or just more reckless?" "Yourself," Victor said. "You're finally yourself." The words hit her harder than any of Ethan's blows ever had. Because he was right. For the first time in years, maybe ever, Lena felt like herself. Not the person Ethan wanted her to be. Not the scared girl Catherine Morrison had pitied. Yummy. Just Lena, flawed and fierce and free. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now we find the other women," Victor said. "We build the case. We make sure Ethan and his mother both spend the rest of their lives in prison. And after that," Victor was quiet for a long moment. "After that, you get to decide who you want to be." "I already know who I want to be," Lena said. "I want to be the woman who helps other women escape, who builds a shelter, who makes sure no one else has to send a desperate text to a stranger because they have nowhere else to turn. Victor smiled. That sounds like a good use of the Morrison family's offshore accounts. Lena blinked. What? Those account numbers you photographed, Marcus tracked them down. $30 million hidden from the IRS, money earned through corruption and crime. Money that should go to the people they hurt. You're going to steal it, Lena asked. I'm going to liberate it, Victor corrected. And you're going to use it to build something that matters. A shelter, a legal fund, whatever you want. The Morrisons owe you that much. Lena felt tears building again. But they were different tears. Hope tears. Future tears. Why are you doing this, all of it? You could have walked away a dozen times. Could have handed me over to the police and let them deal with it. Why didn't you? Victor looked out the window at the city lights. Because 17 years ago, I made a promise to myself that if I ever had the power to help someone the way I needed help, I would. You gave me the chance to keep that promise, Lena. I should be thanking you. So thank me by telling me the truth, Lena said. What happened to you 17 years ago? Victor was silent for so long she thought he wouldn't answer. Then, I had a brother younger than me. His name was Daniel. His voice was distant, like he was speaking from somewhere far away. Our father was like Ethan, powerful, connected, violent. He beat our mother, beat us. And everyone knew, but no one did anything because he was important, because our family had money and influence. Lena's hand found his. He didn't pull away. Daniel tried to get help, Victor continued. Called the police, called child services, called everyone he could think of. And they all told him the same thing, that he was lying. That our father was a pillar of the community, that boys make up stories for attention. His voice cracked. So Daniel stopped asking for help. And 3 months later, my father beat him so badly that he stopped, couldn't finish. I'm so sorry, Lena whispered. I was 15, Victor said, and I promised myself that day, when I was strong enough, when I had enough power, I would make sure no one else had to die waiting for help that never came. So I built my empire, made myself untouchable, and I waited for someone to need me the way Daniel needed someone, for a chance to be the person who came. And then I texted you, Lena said. And then you texted me, Victor agreed. Wrong number or not, fate or not, doesn't matter. You gave me the chance to save someone, to be the person I couldn't be for Daniel. They sat in silence, hands intertwined, two broken people who'd found each other in the darkness. What happened to your father? Lena asked quietly. Victor's smile was cold. He had an accident, very tragic. The police investigated, of course, but they didn't find anything, because I'd learned how to hide things by then, how to make problems disappear. Lena should have been horrified, should have pulled away from this man who just admitted to murder. But instead, she squeezed his hand tighter. Good, she said. Over the next 3 weeks, they found them, all three women. Michelle Carver was living in Bozeman, Montana, working at a library under an assumed name. When Victor's people tracked her down, she tried to run, but Lena was the one who convinced her to stay, to listen, to fight back. I know you're scared, Lena had said on the phone. I know you think running is safer than fighting. But Michelle, we have a chance, a real chance to make sure Ethan never hurts anyone again. And I can't do it without you. Michelle had been silent for a long time. Then, if I testify, he'll destroy me. His family, they'll dig up everything, every mistake I've ever made. They'll make me look like a liar, Lena finished. Like a bitter ex, like someone who's mentally unstable. I know, because they're already doing it to me. But Michelle, there's strength in numbers. One of us alone, they can discredit. But 4 of us, 5-10, eventually the pattern becomes undeniable, Michelle testified. Sarah Brennan was harder to find. She'd gone completely off the grid, no social media, no bank accounts, nothing. But Cade tracked her through an old friend in Seattle, and when they finally found her working at a women's shelter under a different name, she didn't need much convincing. I've been waiting for this, Sarah said when Lena called. Waiting for someone to have the courage to stand up to him. To them. I'll testify. I'll tell everything. Natalie Torres was the hardest. She'd married, changed her name, moved to Canada. She had 2 children now, a life she'd carefully built as far from Philadelphia as possible. And when Victor's people found her, she refused to even take the call. It was Victor who finally convinced her. He flew to Toronto himself, showed up at her door, and told her something Lena never learned the details of. But whatever he said worked because Natalie came back. For the other women, she told Lena when they met, for the ones who didn't survive, for the ones still trapped, I'll testify. The trial started 6 weeks after that night in the shipyard. The prosecution had 17 women ready to testify. 17 voices, 17 stories, all following the same pattern. Ethan Morrison sat in the defendant's chair, his lawyer beside him, and for the first time in his life, he looked small. David Morrison sat in the gallery, his expression carved from stone. He'd resigned from the Senate 2 weeks earlier amid mounting pressure. The Morrison name that had once opened doors now closed them. And Catherine Morrison sat in her own courtroom, 3 floors up, facing charges of attempted murder and conspiracy. The Morrison empire was crumbling. Lena took the stand on day 3. She wore a simple blue dress that Sarah had helped her pick out. Her bruises had faded, but the scars remained physical and otherwise. Ms. Thorne, the prosecutor said gently, can you tell the court what happened on the night of November 15th? Lena took a breath. Then she spoke. She told them about the beating, about the text message, about the years of manipulation and control that had led to that moment. Ethan's lawyer tried to break her on cross-examination, asked about her mental health history, about the men she'd dated before Ethan, about her drinking, about every mistake she'd ever made. Isn't it true, the lawyer asked, that you have a history of unstable relationships? No, Lena said calmly. I have a history of dating men who hurt me and made me think it was my fault. There's a difference. Isn't it true that you sent Mr. Morrison a text message saying you loved him just 3 days before this alleged incident? It's true, Lena said, because he threatened to kill himself if I didn't, because he'd trained me to believe that his emotions were my responsibility, because I was still trapped in the cycle of abuse. But that doesn't make what he did to me any less real. Objection, Ethan's lawyer started. Overruled, the judge said. The witness may continue. Lena looked directly at Ethan. You told me I was nothing without you, that no one would believe me, that I was lucky you loved me despite all my flaws. But you were wrong. I'm not nothing. I'm a survivor, and I do have people who believe me, and I was never lucky I was trapped. But I'm not trapped anymore. Ethan's face twisted with rage. He started to stand, but his lawyer yanked him back down. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. When the verdict was read, Lena felt Sarah's hand find hers on one side and Victor's on the other. She'd expected to feel relief. Vindication. Instead, she felt empty, like she'd been holding herself together for so long that now that it was over, she didn't know what to do with herself. It's over, Sarah whispered. Lena, it's really over. But it wasn't, not yet. Catherine Morrison's trial ended a week later, also guilty. Mother and son would both spend decades in prison. David Morrison disappeared from public life entirely. Rumors said he'd moved to Europe. Others said he was planning a comeback. Lena didn't care. He had no power over her anymore. 2 months after the verdicts, Lena stood in front of a building in North Philadelphia. The sign above the door read, Haven House, in simple letters. It's perfect, Sarah said beside her. She quit her old job to help Lena run the shelter. It's empty, Lena said, but she was smiling. Not for long, Victor said. He'd been there all morning helping move furniture, set up security systems, making sure everything was ready. The shelter would house 12 women. More eventually, it would provide legal aid therapy job training. Everything Lena had needed and couldn't find. Thank you, she said to Victor, for all of this, the money, the help, everything. It's your money now, Victor said. The Morrisons owed you a debt. This is just the beginning of repayment. Still, Lena looked at him. I know this isn't your world, shelters and social work. You don't have to. I want to, Victor interrupted. Besides, someone has to make sure you're safe. The Morrison family might be in prison, but they still have allies. People who might, Victor. Lena touched his arm. I'm okay. I'm safe. You can stop protecting me now. What if I don't want to stop? The words came out before he could stop them. Lena's breath caught. What if I don't want to stop? Victor repeated. Being part of your life, helping with the shelter, making sure he stopped searching for words. I've spent 15 years alone, building walls, trusting no one, and then you sent that text and everything changed. You changed me, Lena. I didn't do anything, she said. You let me save you, Victor said, which meant you trusted me, which meant someone finally saw past the criminal, the killer, the monster everyone thinks I am. I saw someone who showed up when I needed him, Lena finished. Someone who could have walked away a dozen times but didn't. Someone who gave me the tools to save myself instead of just saving me. She stepped closer. Are you saying you have feelings for me? I'm saying I don't know how to be without you anymore, Victor admitted. And I know that's not fair. I know you need time to heal, to figure out who you are outside of relationships, to be independent. So I'm not asking for anything. I wanted you to know. Lena was quiet for a long moment. I do need time, she said finally. I need to learn how to be alone, how to be just Lena, not Lena and someone else, not Ethan's victim, not your rescue project, just me. Victor nodded, trying to hide his disappointment. But, Lena continued, that doesn't mean I don't have feelings for you. It just means I need to figure out if those feelings are real or if they're just gratitude. Trauma bonding, a need for security after everything I've been through. I understand, Victor said. Do you, Lena? Brady asked. Because I'm not saying no, Victor. I'm saying not yet. I'm saying give me time. Let me build this shelter. Let me help other women. Let me figure out who I am when I'm strong. And then, she smiled, then we'll see. Victor smiled back. I can wait, even if it takes a year, 2 years. Even then, Victor said, I've waited 17 years to keep a promise to my brother. I can wait a little longer for you. 3 years later, Lena stood in the same spot looking at the same building. But everything was different now. Haven House had expanded to 3 locations. They'd helped over 200 women escape abusive situations. The Morrison offshore money had funded legal battles, safe houses, therapy programs. Lena had been featured in magazines, had given speeches, had become a voice for survivors everywhere. And through it all, Victor had been there. Not controlling, not protecting, just supporting, offering resources when needed, stepping back when she needed space. They'd had coffee together once a month for 3 years, talked about the shelter, about his business, about their lives. Slowly, carefully, they'd built something that looked like friendship. And somewhere along the way, it had become more. You're thinking too loud, Victor said beside her. He'd shown up that morning with coffee like he had every Saturday for 3 years. I was just remembering, Lena said, that first night when I sent that text. Best wrong number I ever got, Victor said. Was it though? Lena asked. Wrong, I mean. Sometimes I wonder if maybe it wasn't a mistake. If maybe I was supposed to text you, if maybe what? Victor asked gently. If maybe some mistakes are actually fate, Lena finished. Victor took her hand. Does it matter whether it was fate or chance or a simple typo? You needed help. I was able to give it. And now, he gestured at the building, at the women coming and going, at the lives being rebuilt. Now look at what you've built. What we've built, Lena corrected. I couldn't have done this without you. You could have, Victor said. You're stronger than you know. Maybe, Lena said, but I didn't have to do it alone, and that matters. She turned to face him fully. Victor, I've been thinking. Dangerous, he teased. I'm serious, she said. I've spent 3 years figuring out who I am, building my independence, learning to be strong on my own. And I am strong. I know that now. I don't need you to protect me or save me or take care of me. Victor's face fell slightly. I know. I've always known that. But, Lena continued, just because I don't need you doesn't mean I don't want you. There's a difference. And I've spent 3 years trying to figure out if what I feel is real or if it's just, and Victor's voice was careful. What did you figure out? I figured out that real love isn't about need. It's about choice. Lena stepped closer. I choose you, Victor. Not because you saved me, not because I'm grateful, but because in 3 years of knowing you, you've never once tried to control me. You've never made me feel small. You've celebrated my victories and supported my failures and treated me like an equal even when I was at my weakest. You gave me space to grow and time to heal and never once made me feel like I owed you anything for it. And that's the kind of love I want, the kind I choose. Victor stared at her. Lena, I'm in love with you, she said simply. And I think I have been for a while. I just needed to make sure it was real, that it was mine, that it wasn't just another version of the girl who thought she needed a man to be complete. Because I don't need you, Victor, but I want you, if you'll have me. Victor's answer was to pull her into his arms and kiss her. And for the first time in her life, Lena felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Not because a man chose her, but because she chose herself. And then she chose him. 5 years after that wrong number text, Lena Thorne stood on a stage and accepted an award for her work with domestic violence survivors. Victor sat in the audience watching with pride as she spoke about the importance of believing survivors, of giving women the resources to escape, of building systems that protected instead of blamed. She didn't mention him by name. Didn't need to, because this was her victory, her work, her strength. But when she came off stage, he was waiting. Like he'd been waiting for 8 years. Like he'd keep waiting forever if that's what she needed. "I'm proud of you," he said. "I'm proud of me too," Lena said. And she meant it. Somewhere across the country, women were reading about Lena's work. Women trapped in abusive relationships. Women who thought there was no way out. Women who were scared and alone and desperate. And maybe, just maybe, one of them would find the courage to reach out, to ask for help, to send that text message that would change everything. Because Lena had learned something important in the years since that November night. It only takes one person to save you, but it takes you to save yourself. The wrong number hadn't saved her life. Victor hadn't saved her life. She'd saved herself. Victor had just given her the tools and the space to do it, and that made all the difference.